first story is by Alex Hicks, 19, and it's called The Cycle. I didn't expect that at all. The movies completely failed to even remotely depict what happens. I didn't feel at peace or like I was drifting between realms. There was definitely no bright white light or out-of-body experience. There was just the feeling of fear, raw and intense fear. It was happening. There was no going back, and it was cold. I was alone, scared and cold. There were no angels leading the way, just darkness. Warmth finally washed over me when I lost control of my bodily functions and pissed myself, but I suppose that doesn't count. The coffee shop looked familiar, but it didn't at the same time. I felt I'd been here before, but couldn't remember coming. The old American-style booths with the red leather seats, the black and white checker linoleum floor shined bright with wax. There was no one else in the shop. I was alone, but felt crowded. It was warm, but there was also a lack of heat. There was a coffee mug in front of me, black coffee, steam rising from the mug. I don't like black coffee. The bell above the door rang out. I didn't look back, but I knew who had walked in. The streets outside looked equally as familiar as the coffee shop did, but I couldn't put a name on the street we were on or the town we were in. No wind outside. The trees lining the desolate street were still. Rusty cars lined the sidewalk, and not a soul moved. I could hear his footsteps as he walked towards me. None of the shops outside looked open, just empty. He had reached my booth. He sat opposite of me. I knew who he was, but his name eluded me. Maybe I had known him as a kid growing up and never encountered him again. Whatever the case, he was a familiar face. Or maybe he had just that face that looks familiar. We sat in silence. He, too, had a coffee mug in front of him, steam rising, presumably from black coffee. I analyzed him. He seemed to be doing the same. Fairly good-looking guy, nothing special, medium-length brown hair, strong chin and jawline, almost non-existent lips, but his eyes, I couldn't read into them. They just seemed to be black pits of emptiness. I felt like I was getting lost in them, an abyss. He finally broke the silence and said my name. Jake. Where do I know you from? I asked. You don't, was his reply. I don't understand what you mean. Where do you think you are? He asked. I don't really know. The realization that I had no idea who I was hit me. He smiled at my confusion. His teeth were sharp. Only when he smiled did his eyes come to life. It seemed almost like a fire was kindled deep inside them. The fire in his eyes scared me. I felt the fear deep in my bones down to my very soul. Is this hell? I asked. Ha ha, no, not at all, Jake. This is a fate much worse than hell. Let's go take a look. I was looking at me now. We weren't in the coffee shop. I wasn't okay. By mean, I mean the me I was looking at. I could hear crying in the distance. It was a woman's sobs. It pained me to hear them. She seemed beyond consolable. Who is that? You'll see, was his reply. A familiar voice rang out. I could finally place the voice. It was my stepdad. I couldn't quite make out what he was saying. I could still only see the not okay me. I looked closely at me. I was lying in a pool of my own sick, and there was a seemingly large wet spot by my crotch. I asked the familiar stranger what was going on. The fate worse than hell, he said. It's your fate to watch your devastation you caused by your actions for eternity. The environment grew brighter, and I could make out we were in my bedroom. I still lay in a puddle of my vomit. My stepdad rushed to the vomit-soaked me and shook me desperately. My bed was unmade, and the covers had piled up on the floor. My basketball medals and trophies glistened in the beautiful morning sun. The dead me was still being shaken by my stepdad. Finally, I came to see whose pained cries I heard earlier. My sickly old mother collapsed next to her husband and desperately tried to wake me up. She has been sick, but now she looked as if she had given up all hope. The few strands of hair she had were plastered to her tear-soaked face. The big burly man she had left my real dad for was still shaking me. He had thrown the pill dispenser I had made use of to the other side of the room. The bottle seemed to gleam smugly at his victory over human life. Chunks of sick stuck to his shirt. Looking at myself, I knew they were clearly too late. I hope you enjoyed the show. The encore is forever, the strange man said. I looked back at myself, dead and soiled. Suddenly it all went black. Light slowly drifted back, and I saw again myself lying on the floor. I could hear the sobs and the familiar voice. It was happening all over again. Okay. So, I'm assuming that Jake, the guy who woke up, I believe he may have killed himself, and I don't even know where to say he was. Like the guy said, it's not hell, so I guess it's just the emptiness. I don't know. I really like this story. I love the detail that this author had put into it, and I also just want to point out, yo, that is scary to think about. Like, you know, when you watch movies and stuff, when people die, you know, you see the bright lights and the angels or whatever, and for you to literally see pretty much a black eye, I think a demon, a black eye demon telling you, oh no, your fate is much worse than hell. How does that get any worse than hell? Like, what? But yeah, that's pretty crazy, pretty sad too. At the end, his sick mom, I'm assuming she had cancer, because he said her very few strands of hair. I'm guessing she went through chemotherapy, but like, that's sad. Like, I mean, it's sad that the guy killed himself too, you know. He seemed pretty young to still live with his parents and his basketball trophy, so I'm guessing he was a teenager. But yeah, that's really sad to have to keep reliving every day for the rest of your life, or not even the rest of your life, the rest of your emptiness. I don't know. That's I really like this story. It was really good, well written. And as always, I will be linking the links down in the description box. But yeah, let's just move on to the next story. This next story is by Mysterious Assassin, and it's called The Abandoned Clinic. This story happened when I was about 14. Me and my friends were going for vacation to our grandparents. They lived quite close to each other. We had a lot of free time and we could do whatever we wanted. So soon I got the idea to visit the abandoned clinic that wasn't far away from there. A lot of rumors were going around about this place because of its history. People have talked about ghosts, maniacs, or just drug addicts, but it didn't bother us. So one day we took a few things: flashlights, water, 2 pocket knives, a few tools to remove locks, and went there. My 3 friends, Ray, Alex, Lisa, and me. Before I explain our experience, I probably should talk about the place history. It was built in the late 1990s, mostly served as a private clinic with 2 parts, one for surgery and one for the mentally ill patients. One time there was a girl from a rich family who got pregnant on accident. She wanted to keep the baby, but the family didn't, so they drove her there. They said that the doctors will give her vitamins for the baby. However, in reality, the doctor injected her with anesthesia, and while she was asleep did an abortion. As the girl woke up, she felt something wrong with her baby. When she understood what happened, she started yelling and screaming, cursing the clinic, the doctor, and her family. Then she grabbed a surgery knife and stabbed herself in the stomach. She died before anyone could help her. About a year went by, and the doctor that performed the abortion died in a car crash. Other people working there started to complain about headaches and hearing things. Somehow all the patients from the mentally ill part got healthy in the period of 2 months and were all allowed to leave. One day, a cleaner that was complaining about seeing and hearing something in the hallways was found dead in the same room where the earlier mentioned abortion was performed. She hung herself above the bed. After about half a year of this terror, one of the doctors couldn't take it anymore. He went crazy and burned the clinic down. Since then, it remained empty. Now back As we arrived to the building, it was a bit bigger than we imagined. Cool, more to explore, I thought to myself. The others were probably thinking the same. The first part of the clinic that we decided to explore was the mental health one. There was a lock on the door that we had to get off. When we could finally enter, we saw about 5 doors that led to different rooms. The rooms where patients were kept. That's what we assumed, but based on each room having only one bed and nothing else, most rooms had scratches, weird drawings, or writings on the walls of the floor. Who knows what was happening in here? I didn't want to think of it and just continued to investigate the rooms. As we walked into the floor, we saw empty medical needles on the floor. It caused a shiver to run down my back. Ray grabbed me by the arm. Let's go to the other part. Here might be an attic somewhere. With these words, he and I followed the 2 others walking out of there and tried to lock the door again. Now we are in the surgery part. It was really cool. Way more rooms and cool graffiti on the walls. We all kind of fell apart. Alex was taking pictures of the graffiti. Ray and Lisa were probably investigating some rooms, and I just walking around and looking for cool stuff. I just found a weird graffiti as I heard Ray's voice calling us. Hey guys, come here. I found the cursed surgery room. We all rushed there. In fact, Lisa almost fell on me, scaring me to death. We walked into the room. May I point out that this was the only room that wasn't touched by the fire. As weird as it is, we started taking pictures and I looked through some of the shelves that stayed there. I heard Lisa's concerned voice call us, "Hey guys, look what I found." It's quite strange. As I came closer to her, I could see that she was holding a picture in her hands. On the picture was a pregnant woman standing in this room with a calm smile on her face. At first, we all just smiled, talking about how pretty the woman looked and that she was probably really happy with the baby, even though we weren't really sure why she would be in a surgery room except for an abortion. Then why is she smiling when she's pregnant? The question was never answered. All of us were staring at the picture for a few moments before I pointed out that in the corner of the picture is a black burned wall. Our faces changed. This clinic didn't work since the burn, so why would a pregnant woman be in here after it happened? Why was the picture left here after it was taken? This all weirded us out. I felt a second shiver running down my back. No, that was the feeling of someone staring at me. I looked over to my friends. They obviously felt the same. We put the picture back and decided that it's time to go. We all were about to leave, but Alex wanted to take pictures of the beautiful butterfly graffiti on the wall. 4 of us were standing in a hallway that led from the entrance into the building and then was separating in 2. One going left, the other going right. Exactly middle was the graffiti. So Alex was taking pictures. Everything was okay. Then Ray, that was standing next to him, points on to something on the picture. Lisa and I were standing closer to the exit, but this forced us to come back. On the picture in the corner where the hallways turned to the right, we saw something that looked like a person sideways. Ray took one more picture, and now we could clearly see the person sideways to us. One more picture, now she was standing in front of us. Yes, she, a woman with a baby on her hands. I looked up, nothing. It was just empty, old and burned hallway. It became colder, so cold that Lisa even started shivering and snuggled onto me for warmth. Alex took one more picture. The woman was about 5 meters in front of us. We all gasped because we weren't able to see anything in real life, only on the pictures. The last picture I was actually scared to look at. When I did, I regretted it directly. The woman was standing there, so close that if she was a real person, we could feel her breath. Her hand in a weird position, like she was about to grab one of us. Lisa couldn't take it anymore. She ran out of there at the urge of crying. I ran after her, grabbing Ray, and he grabbed Alex, who stand there frozen from fear. Ray basically dragged him out of there. We needed a few minutes to catch our breath and understand what just happened. Then the 4 of us slowly started walking away, as there was quite a big difference between us and the building. Lisa's terrifying scream paralyzed me for a minute. All of us turned around just to see the awful picture of the woman with the baby standing there. But she wasn't smiling anymore. Her stomach was covered in blood and her face was expression of anger. We all froze, fearing that she would run at us. The lady looked in our direction for a second, then went back inside. We didn't stop going to haunted places after this story, but never ever stepped close to the abandoned clinic. Okay, after reading all of that, I just have to comment on the very last sentence. We didn't stop going to haunted places after this story, but never ever stepped close to the abandoned clinic. See, people don't learn they lessons. They don't learn they lessons, y'all. After experiencing all of this, like, first off, when you walked into that clinic and you saw that one room was untouched by fire, you still was like, oh, let's just go explore. No, you leave. You leave. And then to even find a photograph that's been there since the 90s that's not, destroyed by nature and moisture, it's still perfectly intact. Like, there was so many warning signs for you to leave. But, yeah, I don't do stuff like this. Listen, you're not gonna catch me in no woods and no forest finding grandma's cabin. Some things are just meant to be left abandoned and alone, okay? But I also want to point out the fact that this girl who killed herself, her family ain't right for that. Her family is not right for that. Like, I wouldn't say I get why the girl killed herself, but it's just sad. Like, you're so excited, you're about to be a mother, and you think you're about to go do right by your baby to get some vitamins, and you wake up and you don't have a baby anymore. Like, I think I can understand the mental process. Like, that's traumatizing, but I don't think I would have killed myself and then stayed on the earth and haunted everybody who came near the clinic. But I know it's just a story, but that's just my commentary. And as always, like the last one, I will be linking this person down below. Also, I forgot to mention this person's name has underscores in it. Her name is, or I'm assuming it's a woman, I don't know, underscore mysterious underscore assassin. So I just wanted to say that. But